What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Alright, so we are going to continue our coverage over the Evolutionary War. Really, we are about to dive into the final chapter of the war. Yes, you heard that right. The final chapter of the war. Now remember, when it came to the Evolutionary War, it was all about one character known as the High Evolutionary. You see, his main goal was to advance the human race into god-like beings. Let me explain why. You see, he was able to create a counter-Earth on the other side of the sun, except that Earth was taken away from him by the Beyonders. Now, when it came to the High Evolutionary, he did go out of his way to confront the Beyonders, except when he did that, he realized that they're powerful god-like beings. And so because of that, he said, you know what? I should go back to Earth and try to lead the human race into god-like beings like the Beyonders. And so the entire Evolutionary War is really him just trying to pull off different schemes to possibly help advance the human race. Now, the last couple chapters has all been about his latest scheme to release a genetic bomb into the world that can supposedly advance the human race. Now, here's the thing. He is going to be stopped by the Avengers, except around this time there was no Avengers, because we do see a new team come together to basically stop him. Really more a reserve team to come together to stop him. Now, the opening pages for today's storyline is bringing back a certain character that was dead for a short while in Marvel Comics, and that would be Jocasta. You see, Jocasta was actually created by Ultron so that he could have a mate. What he also did was he tried to transfer the mind of the Wasp into the body of Jocasta. Now, the process actually worked, except you had the Avengers reverse the whole process, putting the mind of the Wasp back into her own body. And so Jocasta was just an empty shell once again. But after a while, she came online by herself. And here is the reason why. A small piece of the Wasp's mind was still inside the body of Jocasta. And so technically, Jocasta was just the robot version of the Wasp, but who also joined the Avengers. Now, she was killed off again later on, but now we see she's being brought back to life by the agents who work for the High Evolutionary. Now, we do not learn why they are trying to bring her back to life, but they do believe that they have wiped out her entire memory, except that's not completely true. She was able to remember just enough to realize that something's off about this situation, and so she runs over to a phone and being able to call the Avengers, except there's no one able to answer the call. So we jump over to the Hydro base. Now, when it comes to the Hydro base, it was actually one of the last few places that was used by the Avengers. You see, around this time, the Avengers were disbanded, and so you have no one there to actually answer the call that Jocasta left behind. She's trying to warn the Avengers about what the High Evolutionary is trying to do, the genetic bomb. But with no one being there, the computer system realized it had to call in the reserve members. And so the first to appear was the Captain, better known as Captain America. But around this time, him and the American government had a disagreement. So he's just going by the Captain. Now, once he arrives and hears that the call came from Jocasta, he can't believe it because she died a while back. She was vaporized. And so he is very confused on how in the world she was able to send a message. But you do have Steve Rogers wait for everyone else to arrive. And that would be Falcon, Hercules, Beast, Hulk, and the female Yellow Jacket. Now, the female Yellow Jacket, her name is Rita Damara. Now, when she first appeared in Marvel Comics, she was somebody who actually stole the Yellow Jacket outfit from Hank Pym, and she was somewhat a bad guy. But this begins the process of her joining the Avengers and becoming a good guy. Either way, you have everyone come together very confused about what in the world is going on. But you didn't have Steve Rogers tell everybody, hey, listen, somebody, Jocasta, made a call over to the base. Now, I don't believe it's Jocasta, but just in case, we should most likely check it out. And so you have the Avengers head over to where the call came from, one of the many bases that belongs to the High Evolutionary. Now, once you do have our heroes arrive at the base or one of the many bases of the High Evolutionary, our heroes in the Hulk and Furs. Now, when it comes to the Hulk, he makes sure to clear the place out as a way to save Jocasta, but he also makes sure to leave one scientist alive to help our heroes get caught up in what is happening when it comes to the Evolutionary War. Now, here's the thing, because this scientist does give us some more information we did not know about. Like, yes, we already knew that when it came to the High Evolutionary, he was working on a genetic bomb, and that genetic bomb was going to advance the human race. But here's the thing, he is going to release the bomb inside a volcano, and when it happens, the ashes in a volcano is going to make the virus into an airborne virus, and every single human that the High Evolutionary believes has the right to evolve is going to evolve by 1 million years in a matter of seconds. But here's the problem. When it comes to the main base of the High Evolutionary and also the genetic bomb, is being kept in an underwater base. A base where none of the jets the Avengers have at the moment is able to reach. And so now they have to find a different way to reach that base. We also kind of find out that the reason why you had Jocasta come back to life is because when it came to the High Evolutionary, he wanted more information about the Avengers. And when it came to Jocasta, she was able to store some very detailed information about the Avengers. Now, you do have our heroes head over to Lemuria. Now, Lemuria is one of the two underwater kingdoms in the world of Marvel Comics, the other being Atlantis. Now, here's the thing. The reason why our heroes went over here is to hope to get some information from Attuma, the king of Lemuria. Because if somebody has an underwater base that is currently being used as a way to advance the human race, the kingdom of Lemuria might have some information that could possibly help out the Avengers. Except when our heroes do arrive in Lemuria, well, they're being attacked by Atlantis. Now, yes, the two kingdoms, they do hate one another, but this battle right here, it seems very weird. It seems like both sides were brought here for a certain reason. And then out of nowhere, you have the Purifiers appear. Now, the Purifiers are one of the 4 groups that work for the High Evolutionary. That would be the Purifiers, the Eliminators, the Gatherers, and also the Technicians. Now, when it comes to the Purifiers, their main goal is to purify the human race. You see, what they do is they go around the world to find a specific group of people, and then they purify those group of people by sterilizing them. And so when it comes to the High Evolutionary, he is saying that the people of Atlantis and the people of Lemuria should be purified, sterilized. They cannot be part of the evolution of the human race. They are only going to hold it back. And so the Purifier's main goal was to bring both kingdoms here and then just sterilize both groups. But luckily for both kingdoms, the Avengers were here to help out and stop this plan before it could actually happen. But now you have both the King of Atlantis and the King of Lemuria wanting to help out the Avengers to take down the High Evolutionary to find his base. Now, once you do have the Avengers, the Atlanteans, and also Lemurians work together to find the base of the High Evolutionary, the Atlanteans and the Lemurians are going to cause a distraction long enough to allow the Avengers to sneak inside the base of the High Evolutionary. Now, the High Evolutionary, he knows that his base is being attacked. He tells everyone, hey, battle stations right at this moment. We have to protect the base, but we also have to protect the genetic bomb as well. But either way, the Avengers are able to work their way through the base of the High Evolutionary. Except once you do have our heroes being able to reach a room, that is when they learn a tad bit more about the High Evolutionary. You see, we kind of find out that the High Evolutionary was actually able to build a religion around himself. Yes, you heard that right. The people who work for him, the purifiers, the gatherers, the eliminators, and the technicians, and anybody else who work for him, they praise him like he is some kind of god. And the reason why? Because he is so advanced in technology that basically he is a god to these people. Now, here's the thing, because the people who are priests for this religion, they're better known as new men. You see, new men were groups of animals that the High Evolutionary was able to evolve into actual humans. Not like they look like humans, they think and act like humans, but they still look like animals. And that is really important. And the reason why, because everybody else who's not a new man, they believe the new men are just regular humans wearing animal masks, not realizing that there actually are real animals. Now, when it comes to the Avengers, they kind of realize that they can use this as another way to distract the entire army of the High Evolutionary. And so when it comes to Beast, he pretends to be a new man, but on a phone call. And on this supposed phone call, he is talking about the idea of the genetic bomb going off. But the bomb's real purpose is to wipe out the human race, to only leave behind the new men, so the new men can be able to take over the actual Earth. Now, the humans who hear this, they're kind of like, wait a second, you're going to tell us the priests for our religion are actually animals that were evolved into humans, and the entire purpose of this whole entire organization is to help them, not us? That is not okay at all. And so now the Avengers were able to cause a civil war inside the actual army of the High Evolutionary, causing him more problems at the moment he is trying to release the genetic bomb. Now, this is where you had a story really get wrapped up very quickly. Let me explain. So you have our heroes walk into a genetic lab. Now, once they do walk into the genetic lab, they find a device that's actually able to evolve you very similar if you were hit with the genetic bomb. Now, when it comes to our heroes, what they want to do is put one of their own inside the actual device and evolve that person into a godlike being that can go toe to toe with the High Evolutionary, because they realize the High Evolutionary is just way too powerful for our heroes to try to fight against. And so they decide it should be Hercules. Now, the reason why, because Hercules is already a god. And so him evolving into possibly another power level of a god could be able to take down the High Evolutionary. Now, you do have the Hulk wanting to go first, but he's actually sent away by the High Evolutionary. And then you have Steve Rogers go out of his way to distract the High Evolutionary long enough to allow Beast to work on Hercules, putting Hercules inside the actual genetic device. Now, once you have Hercules walk out of the device, he's on a whole new power level. But here's the thing, the High Evolutionary is still a very powerful character. But the problem is, he tries to use too much power to fight against Hercules. And the reason why I say he's trying to use too much power is because Hercules is still evolving, even though he's now outside of the actual device. And so Hercules is only getting stronger and stronger to the point where the High Evolutionary can't really do much against Hercules. Now, when it comes to the High Evolutionary, because he does use a huge amount of his energy, he just disappears. It seems like his body and his armor just couldn't keep up with the energy that he was trying to use. And so he just flat out breaks apart and disappears. And we're left to wonder what happened to the High Evolutionary. Now, when it comes to Hercules, he's still evolving, and he keeps evolving to the point where he also disappears just like that. So both characters are officially gone. The day is saved, but at the same time, the Avengers had just lost one of their own. Now, here's the thing. The Avengers, they have to leave the base right at this moment because you still have the members of the army of the High Evolutionary trying to carry out his mission. And so once you have the heroes defuse the bomb, but to also make sure the actual ship crashes so that no one is able to continue on with the High Evolutionary's plan, our heroes are able to leave. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.